Jax, you should probably keep something out of the collection yourself. I'm definitely going to advise keeping a set of armor and maybe picking up yourself a couple new weapons. There's more than enough there for us to take some for ourselves without affecting the overall sale price. I mean, it is a mountain of weapons and armor, and I have to make sure you stay protected, or the next bullet that's meant to go into your ass might hit mine, and that is far too perfect an accessory to get damaged. Wow, I just got downgraded to a human shield, I replied. You really do have a way with words, Emily. Don't be so sensitive. Men can still look good with scars. However, women don't tend to fare so well in the dating market when they're covered in bullet marks and burns. Being pretty is part of our charm. Men just look tough when they have scars. Women just look ugly. It's not a fair deal, but it's the one we get. Sure, nice cover, I replied. After that, we drove for quite a while longer, having chit-chat back and forth. I tried to keep the conversation going, but I had a little bit of trouble as my mind just kept drifting back to the XPC. I suppose I'm kind of a one-track mind sort of guy. When it comes to building stuff and taking stuff apart, I don't know why, but I've always really enjoyed it. There's just something satisfying about pulling a machine apart with your bare hands and a set of good tools, and putting it right back together again. Or taking something useless and making it useful, fixing it or remaking it into something new. It always sort of gives me a sense of accomplishment. I don't really know why. I almost feel at home when I'm doing it. I've never really had a home after all. Not a real one. No mother or father to look after me. I don't even remember who my mother and father are. In fact, everything before I was about 8 years old is basically a blank. I can't remember any of it. I had a head injury, and I suppose that's what caused my lapse in memory. But for the life of me, I can't recall anything. And despite the dire situation I was in, I don't remember anyone ever coming for me. No parents came to save me. No loved ones wanting to protect me. And the people that had me, well, they gave no indication of that there ever were any. But I suppose that's a story I can get into at another time. At this point, we had made our way fairly far into the Red District, and Emily was starting to shout out directions, telling me which direction to go, which piles to bypass, giving me a smooth, guided tour to our little cache of weaponry. I kept my eyes open for enemy spotters, so to speak. Gangland scavengers who were on the hunt for parts, pieces, and things that they could use. And if there were any, they were most likely going to be nosed out of their mind. In case you need a little bit of filler information on what NOS is, basically, it's the new drug. What's in it? God only knows. But whatever it's made out of, it gets these guys completely out of their mind. While they're on it, they seem to have, well, a lackadaisical attitude when it comes to pain. Meaning they almost completely ignore it. Even if you shoot a guy who's juiced up on NOS, you barely get any reaction out of him at all. So unless the shot takes him down, it's almost like you didn't shoot him at all, at least for the moment being. There's no doubt in my mind if they ever come down from their endless high, they're definitely gonna feel it. But as long as they're juiced up on that crap, there's no pain. They're not gonna slow down because you put a bullet hole in them. Quite frankly, I myself aren't too much of a fan of guns. I prefer hand-to-hand combat, or close range. I mean, I carried a gun and wasn't afraid to use it. But when it comes right down to it, I'm always better in the clinch. The last thing you want to see when you're in a fight with me is me get up close and personal. I've had a lot, and I do mean a lot, of first-hand experience with it. Okay, you're gonna take a left here, Emily said, pointing off to the left around a nearby dune of scrap metal. We're almost there, just a little bit further, Emily said, still looking like she was rolling something around in her head. I hope it's all there. If one of those scrappers found it before I got back to it, I'm killing that old man, Emily said, crossing her arms and beginning to tap her foot a little bit. There's no doubt that this was a big score, and Emily wanted that money. So at this point she was getting anxious, simply hoping that something didn't go wrong. And I was right there with her. That XPC was everything I needed. With it I could start to set my dreams in motion. But I suppose that you don't know anything about the Black Label races. For an explanation, the Black Label races are basically a death race to the highest degree. Hundreds of drivers all sign up once a year. Gang members and business owners, everyone from outside of the city walls, and even people from inside of them. The Black Label races are one of the biggest events ever. So much money is gambled on that one day. Fortunes can be made and lost on it. And the entire thing is a freaking bloodbath. But it comes with the highest of prizes. People who claim victory in the Black Label races basically get to write their own ticket. They can come with massive sponsorships, even from beyond the walls. Anyone who wins one of the Black Label races gets an immediate access to the interior of the Great Wall. The whole of Newgate City opens for them, and they get to leave the yellow and red districts behind for the interior districts, places where you don't have to constantly worry about getting shot in the back, where they have luxuries that most people don't have any access to anymore, things that people haven't had since the end of the Great War. It was my ticket in. And of course, whatever team that I brought with me would get their ticket as well. If I got this XPC, I might be able to make it happen. And it'd definitely be a risk. But if anybody's ready to get out of this shithole, it's definitely me. I have no intentions on living the rest of my life in squalor, without anything, while the people inside of the walls get to live in luxury. My prior attempts to gain access didn't go so well, but this time was going to be different. It wasn't something that sheer numbers were going to outweigh. It was all about skill, ability, instinct, the ability to go fast, to not die when people try to kill you, and the ability to take out your opponents without a moment's hesitation. I can do those things. I can win the race. I have the skill set, I know I do. But until now, I've had no way to get access to a vehicle that would actually be worth taking into the races. You might think taking a motorcycle into the races would be a bad idea. After all, most of those vehicles tend to be heavily armored death machines. But riding a motorcycle has its own advantages. Unlike larger vehicles, you're much faster, more maneuverable, harder to hit. And if I get a third-generation biotech engine powering my vehicle, I'll be a freaking bullet. They won't be able to catch me if they tried. I'll leave them in a cloud of dust, no questions. There are faster vehicles that I might have to contend with. When it comes right down to it, I think those will be the highest risk. especially the Angel of Death.